Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative, and today we're looking again at the DJI Action 2. This is one of those cameras that I've done basically a 360 on, or is it 180? What's the one where you're reversing your opinion? Whatever that one is, I've done that with this. And what's great is that you can change your mind as many times as you want. And if this works for you now, you can do that with literally anything. But I'm doing this with this camera because the way that it was marketed as an action camera, I don't think it really was good enough on its own as a unit because only this was waterproof. It had problems with overheating. I think they tried to do too much in too little time with what they had here. And of course you have this little thing. This is not waterproof. This has died. I've had units that have died because it's not been waterproof, even in just light rain. But this has been the camera that I take with me always. And I use this as a vlogging little camera, as just a way to have something waterproof with me with a screen on it. Now, here's something that I just got. We're gonna mention this. This is the Insta360 Go 2. I liked the camera. It was okay, but the one thing that I couldn't get over is that it doesn't have a screen. There's no screen other than passing it over to your phone and linking that up. I can't do that. I'm not gonna hold two things at once. I know that thing is basically a pill that you could swallow. It's just, that is way too much to do to get a screen. And instead, if you have this device, you have the back screen. It's really wide. Also, one of these key things, this is so reflective of a material. If you're kind of just walking around, you can actually frame yourself in the camera with this. That's not saying that, well, actually you can't do that with the Insta360. That lens is so small that you can't really see yourself in it. This is just one of those things I've learned by using so much. But you have a big screen on the back. Look at that. It's the entirety of this. It's super wide. It's so multi-functional that it's just a great camera to have, literally, and you can, well, you can't get into places everywhere with it. One place has had an issue with this camera, only one time. Madison Square Garden. I go there all the time. I've taken this with me about 10 times this year. For a playoff game, they had an issue with this. They did not have an issue with me bringing two of these in. It was bias, it was stupidity on the employee's part, and I was upset. We're gonna be talking more about that in a future video, but this works literally everywhere. Right now it has that little protective case that's better for heat dispersion. It's basically just so your fingers don't get hot. And oh wow, I rarely ever take it out of the case and realize how small this, oh man, how small this is. I do like keeping it in the case just in case I drop it or something. The case will take a brunt of this, and I don't want to ding up the perfectly looking metal body of a camera, aluminum body of a camera, or the lens, of course. So that's why I always keep it inside here. This has been great. But what I'm saying and what I really want for DJI to do, improve on this. I understand that well, actually, I don't. I think releasing the DJI 3 was to appease people who did not like this and to kind of have a new product release in their regular action camera vein. I don't think they should have called it the 3. I think that was a misstep because that kind of closes the door on a new variation of this one. Because what are you going to call it? The 2.2? The 2, it's not, I think they are done with this, but I really want them to not be done with this. I want them to change this for the better. And I think they could really do this. This reminds me of the GoPro session of the Polaroid little instant camera that I have done the review on years ago, where it was just tiny, it was a square, and it was just, yeah, it was just super, super tiny. This is not even a square. Look at that. It is almost just sandwich size. They could add a little bit more depth, and I'd be perfectly happy with that. Add a little bit more depth. maybe make it a square, maybe that's a little bit too much, but add depth so it's better with the heat dispersion, or figure it out. It's been how many years since this came out? 2 years or 3 years? You've had 3 years to kind of R&D this to just make it a better camera. Add more capacity on the inside so that, you know, you can charge this up, you can use this, but remember, this is the only waterproof portion. This is not waterproof. So you can clean the contacts on here, you can charge it up, and it charges relatively quickly because of the small battery inside. But then if you really are only using this, you then have to, and you've used this up fully, because if you use this in the downgraded 1080p, it lasts for about 55 minutes, so does the battery. So once that's done, they're both done. And even if you recharge this again, you're kind of like, well, I have no more storage. Oh, you can offload it to this. That takes a long time. If you have one unit, that takes an extremely long time to transfer from this to the SD card in this. By the way, you do have to have an SD card. There's no internal storage on this unit, and it's tedious. It's a step that shouldn't be taken. This is 32 gigabytes on it. It should have 64. So you can at least do that twice. Record fully, just max it out, charge it up, you know, do something, and then just have a whole nother thing to do. That would help out so much. I would pay more for that. But this has really become my favorite. If it's not raining, I just put this in my pocket, literally in my pocket. And when the Knicks won the first round series, that last video, the Knicks win round 1, that was recorded all on this. And the entire time I was just like this at everybody. I think it was, wait, was I? No, there's no way I was covering the mic. Because like the sound was like a little bit much. Maybe because I was going like this. I think I was covering the mic a little bit. But I usually just hold it out like this. It's ultra wide. You can get in people's faces and you don't feel like you're getting in somebody's face. But I was just recording like this the whole time. I was flipping it around, getting me. This is my favorite camera to have. But let's say, hey, it is raining. Can't take this portion here. It makes it even smaller. And it is just like, it is tiny. It is an incredibly tiny camera. I love carrying this thing around. I am not an engineer or an R&D guy for this, but I would like them to do more with this type of body. I think that this is the future. I think that if they can figure things out and make this more for the masses and not market this as an action cam, but market this as a people cam, because I honestly think that vlogging is dead. Vlogging with a camera like this, it's heavy, it's tedious, it's like, oh, okay, we got everything. I usually, when I do walking stuff, I film this way, and that's what I'm doing. I'm getting really good picture quality off these things, and that's really what I do. Vlogging, I think, is done. But I think when you do vlog, you're going to want to have something tiny that you can kind of extend your arm out and hold for a long time, and this is that camera. It has that front-facing screen if you get that package. Otherwise, it just has like a nothing screen here. You can still see yourself in this and kind of frame. It's so ultra-wide that it's not really hard to miss the framing of this, but this was the perfect camera for me to have. I switched into 4K 30, and I was recording for about 20 minutes, 22 minutes safely, until like the battery wasn't even dead. It's just, I was like, okay, this is probably running towards the end, but I felt comfortable filming for about 22 minutes with this unit in 4K 30. If I were to have done this, and I think I should have, looking back on it, if you film at 4K and 120 frames per second, as much as this does not make sense, it makes it better in low light. And this is not by just me saying this is by use. A lot of the videos that I shoot at night, if you shoot them in 30 frames per second, you get a lot of light dragging on this, and you get a lot of bumping stutter. If you film this at 120 frames per second, it gets a little bit darker, and that's like marginal. Sometimes I don't even realize that it's doing it, but then you don't get all the light streaks. It is perfectly crisp. Now, some LED lights have an issue where you can see like flickering if you stay and view it back in the slow-mo, but if you speed that up to 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second in post, it is crisp. and you really don't get that kind of like LED, like flickering notion in this. This has become my favorite video camera. I know I use this all the time, but it's at home, it's with studio lights around me, it's on like this tripod, like arm thing, it's stuck there. I've used this to film like when Biden officially won the election like a few years ago. I have this video, it's my intro video to this entire channel where I held this, I had this on the stabilized mode, and it was just like beautiful having this around. But I was on my bike, I was holding this, I was with a friend. It was like, this really got tiring. My hand was hurting, it was getting numb. And I wish I had this at the time, because I could do the exact same thing, and if I wanted to, I could record for up to 55 minutes in, it says degraded 1080p, but I really don't see it. I use this as like a bike dash cam all the time. I could have recorded with this for an hour and just been like tiny, held my bike, talked to my friend, and really just like not have that. It's either this or it's this. And the quality out of this is impeccable. It's impeccable, and it's astounding for this. So DJI, this is my call to you. Improve on this. I will pay money. I will help promote you guys. I will put this in a positive light. But I do want you guys to know that I was not a fan of this at first. It grew on me, and I've done a 180. I think it's a 180, because this is my favorite video camera for being in the streets of New York and doing other things like that. Even I could use this here too, but I like the background blur. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, put everything in the comment section below. Don't forget I'm on Instagram at m8b9. You can email me at matt8b9@gmail.com. Oh, I wish I wasn't so mean to you. I wish I was better to you. But I have this, and also it went on sale because nobody bought this, so I got it at B&H. I think I got the same unit that I paid like $554 for like $230. That's just such a good deal. And you can still get it for discounted, but not that heavily of a discount. I would get another one in a second if I could. But that's it, guys. Now we're done. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.